Hi, it's Mindy Yoshikawa, and today I have another tutorial with you sharing some shaped cards I've made with Lori Whitlock's cutting files. This is one of my all-time favorite ways to use Lori's shapes. She makes so many cute ones, and I've taken some boxes and some different just standard shapes that you might use on a layout or the front of a card, and I've turned them into a shaped card. So there's a couple different ways you can go about doing this, and with this first one I'm doing the present. And as much as possible, I like to size them so at least one of the dimensions fits into an A2 size card. Well, both dimensions, but I like to maximize the space as much as possible. In this case, it won't warp the present too badly if I size both sides. You won't be able to notice that it got stretched a little bit, elongated. But what I'm trying to do at this point is layer everything and center it just perfect so that I can group them all together and align them and size them. So in order to size everything consistently, you have to group them together before resizing. And so I'm sizing this one to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 and hitting apply. And this is a little button that Lori has that's a set of 4 buttons, and I just want these holes in the button to be slightly smaller so that when I stitch they don't have a lot of extra room around the threads. So I'm grouping them here, and I'm going to just reduce these holes in size, and when I shrink it down they kind of get spaced closer together, so I'm going to fix that and I'll align them here. And I'm going to group them back together so that when I put that circle over, I don't have to get it in just the right spot. I can just grab both and do a line center and a line middle, and it lines up perfectly. And now I'll make a compound path out of it. And now I want to size my button approximately to 1 inch. And you can either do this just by typing in 1 and hitting log aspect ratio, or doing it 1 by 1. And I'm just testing it here to make sure that that's about the right size for my knot for my bow. And now I'm going to duplicate this. So I want to set these aside so that I can cut them out of different pattern papers. But what I'm going to do now is prepare my card base. And so I'm going to weld these together by going to the modify and weld, and that creates my card outline. And so as you can see from my card, I cut this out of white cardstock, and I just scored them along the top where you're seeing where I'm moving with my cursor, parallel to the bottom of the card, and I just glued it to the top of the other piece, and it created my card base. So it folds from the top. My second card today I actually created from a gift box of Lori's, and I'm deleting these pieces here that don't need to be, I don't need them. And this little circle that was the handle of the box, I'm going to set aside and use it as a pom-pom later. But I'm just getting rid of all the score lines, and I'm going to change this box. Here, let me zoom in a little bit. I'm going to use the knife tool to cut straight down, and it's important to hit the shift key so you get a nice straight line. And then I'm going to delete this other portion. And so now I've got the makings of a card base, and I could just cut 2 of these and score it like I did on my last one, but on this particular card I thought I would make it so that it folded down the side. And so now I just flipped it so that in case they're not totally identical, they will fold identical now. And I'm just overlapping them ever so slightly, and I'm going to line them along the bottom so that they line up perfectly. And now I'm going to go back to my modify and weld, and now you can see they become one card. And I don't add a dotted line here because I like the look of just a bone folder with my Martha Stewart scoreboard. Anyway, I'm lining these back up before I size my dimensions of the card to so that when I do go to size them, all the pieces inside also size at the same rate. And at the moment I realized I'm layering them all on what would be the back of the card, but it really doesn't matter. They're kind of the same. So in the end, you could just move it. And I realized here that I need to size this little pom-pom for his hat that I decided to add. And I tried one by one, but it just wasn't quite big enough, so I kept experimenting with different sizes. And I probably could have just dragged the corner of it in hindsight and pulled it and sized it that way quicker, but I did it this way. And I'm trying to put the pom down a little bit lower because I know that this card is going to be longer. It's not going to be quite 4 1/4 when I size it to 5 1/2. So I'm trying to get it as short as possible. Now I'm going to group it so that I can size it. And I want the height to be 5 1/2 inches tall. And that makes it just under 4 inches wide. And here I just wanted to show you that it was easy to move it over to the front of the card versus the back. And one other thing I did after I did all this card is that I rounded the corners with my corner rounder. I just like the look of the snowman having a rounded corner along the bottom, since he didn't need to be square since he wasn't a box anymore. And I apologize in advance. I shouldn't have ungrouped this right off the bat. I don't know what I was thinking. But I did, and so I grouped it back. And I'm removing these pieces from the inside. I'm going to set the stars aside, and I'm going to delete these. And this exterior shape now will become my card base, which I cut from blue cardstock, and then this piece here will be black. And I realized I'm doing this all backwards, but I wanted to size this before I got too far. So I'm going to group it here so I can size it. Took me a second to realize I hadn't grouped it actually. Now I can size it. And I sized this at 5 inches tall, which makes it just about 4, just shy of 4 3/4 wide. So it's more of a square card that you'd put in a square envelope, or an envelope that's longer on one side if you want cheaper postage. And so here I'm showing you that you would flip it. If you have textured cardstock and you want it to be textured on both the inside and the outside, this is how you would flip it. And then for this little star, I used some iridescent gold paper, and in order to have a little bit of some extra to glue behind my black cardstock, I did an offset exterior, or I guess it's just called an offset. But anyway, so I'm going to set these aside now, but when I did create these, I scored them along the top just like I had done with my present card. And the big thing about that is to just make sure that it's always parallel to the bottom of the card, because if you get that off, the card won't open and lay flat when it's sitting upright. So for this card, I'm using Ice Skate from Lori's Winter Christmas set, and another snowflake from other set of Lori's. And I just took a plain circle that you can use from the circle command, and I sized it to, I think, 0.75. And I also turned this circle, excuse me, these ice skates were originally kind of rotated at a diagonal, so I turned them straight so that they'd be easier to work with. And now I'm just overlapping all the shapes so that when I go to merge, there won't be any gaps, and they'll all be one continuous shape. And I sized this one to be 4 1/4 inches high, which makes it just shy of 5 1/2 inches wide, I believe. Yes. And now I am going to duplicate the shape so that I have my pieces set aside to cut out of the different colors later. And with the extra piece that's left, I will weld those shapes together. Well, I'm just pulling this down to share that that's how it kind of looks on the skate. And there you have it. So I'm going to duplicate this one more time and cut 2 of them. And I believe I just cut this from ordinary white plain cardstock that looked the same on both sides, so it didn't matter if I needed to flip them horizontally or vertically. So I just rotated it to show you that it's really easy to save on paper by flipping it a little bit and getting the most from your cardstock. So I just added the eyelets along the side and dressed up the ice skate card by adding some lifelike shoelaces. And my final card is using another one of Lori's boxes. This one is her Santa Claus box. And once again, I'm going to delete this shape that I don't need and release compound path. Sometimes that works, sometimes you need to ungroup it. I always check both. And I'm just going to move this outer shape so it's easier to delete these other pieces that I don't need. I'm going to scooch these over so they're closer to my work here. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see better. Sorry, we're so far away. And once again, I'm going to go to my knife tool and cut off this flap. And you can see I made several errors, and so I just kept starting over. I wanted to get nice and close. I finally decided that I think I needed to zoom in even more. I cut that one, but I could see that there was still a little lip and I couldn't quite get in good enough without zooming in. Finally decided going up high was the best way to go. And that worked really well. Oops, except for the fact that I didn't hold the shift key down. Sorry. One more try. I think this is going to be the magic trick here. Got it. Alright, now we've got it. So the last step is just basically layering all of the pieces one on top of the other, just like we've done with the previous snowman. This one has quite a few more pieces. It's not super important to get them all perfectly aligned on here, just enough that they are not going to offset the size of the card too badly. Like I said, I love to get it as close to the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 as possible. Really, I could have dropped some of these interior shapes anywhere inside and it wouldn't have mattered. Almost done. This is such a cute Santa. Okay. I decided I wanted to group some of these shapes together so that when I went to center them, just so they'd be grouped together. Now I'm going to go to the align. Oops, hit the wrong one. Sorry, bear with me. All right, after I moved these little holly, I realized they were kind of sticking out beyond the hat, and I didn't want the whole card to have to be narrower because of those holly. So I decided to scooch the holly a little bit further over. Now I'm ready to group everything and size it. And for this one, I ended up going with a 4 1/4 inch wide, and it ended up being just shy of 5.5 inches, I believe, tall. And now I can ungroup this and get my pieces for my card base. And this card doesn't require you to cut the body. You can cut the card base out of red and just cut it once. You don't have to cut it again to create Santa's hat and body. And I did a vertical flip so that if you're using textured cardstock like I did, you can have the textured on both the outside and the front. And then I'll just score it along the top and glue it to the other piece to create my card base. And there you have it. I hope you have enjoyed this and learned something new. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.